Welcome to the PaynePoints Podcast. We enjoy telling the stories of everyday people, whether that be small business owners, entrepreneurs, or people with a passion for their community. We want to highlight them and give them a platform to share their story. So grab your favorite beverage and join us on today's episode where we tell the story of someone just like you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. It has been a long break since the last time you heard from us, so we're glad to be back. It's a little weird. It's been like 2 months since we recorded an episode, so I'm a little rusty, Aubree. I am so sorry. I'm your host, Sarah Harbuck, and our guest today is a recurring friend of ours who's come back on. Her name is Aubree Paige Johnson.
Yes,
we
Johnson.
did not say your last name last time. I'm so sorry.
I think everyone knows me as Aubree Paige.
Yeah, and I thought for the longest time that was your last name, and then I was like, no, that's not right.
Aaron actually gets asked all the time if his name is Aaron Page.
Poor Aaron. Well, Aubree was a guest on our 121st episode, which aired in November of 2020, and we decided to have her back because a lot has changed in the travel industry since she talked to us last. Aubree, you were here. You were planning on a wedding in July of 2021. You had 2 kids, but now you've got a third one on the way, so a lot has changed in your life.
A lot of changes.
Did you guys get to do your wedding?
We didn't.
Okay.
We actually postponed. We just got to thinking like it was just too much. There was just so much going on. I had a lot of health issues through that time, and we postponed, and we're actually going to plan for a destination wedding. So, which is what I do.
We talked about last time. I was like, "Are you going to do a destination wedding?" And you were like,
"We're switching to that." I think I just like the more that I thought about it, the more that I was like, this is just way easier to just do it in destination. So we're shooting for now don't quote me on this because 2023 destination wedding. We'll see.
Very good. Where are you guys planning on going?
More than likely it'll be Cancun. It's just so much easier for our guests. It's quick, from Houston.
Yeah. And it's also really easy to navigate Cancun.
Yeah,
because it's literally just it's pretty much a straight road.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. So
it's been a hot minute since I've been there, but I did enjoy it and would like to go back. So
I work with one resort there a lot, and I just know that they'll take care of us really well. So
yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for you. I wish I was still in photography. I'd be like, hey, let me come. But I'm sure you could find plenty of very qualified, talented people to go.
It's crazy because they have them on staff there, and it's part of your wedding package.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's just like easy.
Yeah. So one of the destination weddings we did, they were like, hey, we want to bring our own people, and they're like, but it's already included in the thing. And she was like, no, I want my own people.
Yeah.
And so they had to like work out a deal actually to get us
you
to
have
be
to
able
actually
come.
pay a lot of times extra to bring in a photographer.
It was nice. I was so glad that they did that for us. It was great. Okay, so you were here last. I think we recorded the episode in October of 2020. I mean, literally the pandemic had just kind of been going for like 6 months at that point, so there were a lot of changes. What have you found to be one of the biggest differences? Because you had started in the travel industry, you said 2019. So you had only been for a little while, and then boom.
When boom hit, I feel like I'm able to do anything though. At this point, like we have navigated through what you would consider, I think, the worst of the worst in the travel industry.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know. It's just been crazy. But the big difference between 2019 and 2020, 2021 is the ever-changing status of each country.
Yeah.
You constantly have to be updated on, and it can change just, quickly.
Do you have to keep a spreadsheet of who's allowing what to do where and how?
Yeah, we have resources that we can pull, and there's just so much misinformation out there. I'll have clients that they're headed to Mexico in 3 days, and they're like, a friend just told us we have to be vaccinated to go. And that's just not true, So it's just navigating through. Now, some countries do require it,
Oh, yeah.
And then some countries require a certain test before you get there. So, it's just ever knowing, ever changing and just being educated on what is happening.
Do you have to spend a big portion of your day or week learning all the different changes that happen?
So, yes.
Do you get a newsletter?
We get emails whenever there are big changes. Hawaii has been one of the biggest. Hawaii is just constantly changing. But we look at our guest a month out, so when I'm looking at February, who's traveling where, I go ahead and start updating them. Okay, these things have changed. So, but be on the lookout because we could change more.
Yeah.
So it's just, and making sure that my clients purchase travel insurance has been a huge thing. Before the pandemic, it was, you should get travel insurance.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from all of my experienced traveler friends.
Yes,
always
you
buy
should
travel
always
insurance.
get travel
because
insurance.
it's only like maybe $200 max.
Yes. But in this world right now, it's like a must.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because anything could happen to you.
Yeah,
and being in a foreign country and having a medical crisis.
Yes.
Oh my
and
God.
the resorts don't necessarily have to be lenient with you. I just had a client that 24 hours before she traveled, she tested positive for COVID.
Oh God.
So yeah, luckily the resort was very, it's okay as long as she doesn't cancel, we'll reschedule, no penalty. But if they hadn't and she didn't buy insurance, she was out her whole trip. So.
Yeah, then that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Are there any standards that are pretty much across the board? Like, okay, you have to, quarantine beforehand, or you have
Absolutely
to show a vaccination
not. No,
card. There
are
no standards.
There are no standards at
Oh.
all. Yeah. So
That makes it harder.
Just for instance, if you go to Mexico, no COVID test prior, no COVID test upon entry, no vaccination required. But then
So they basically pretty much stayed the same this whole time.
Yes. But then you go to Jamaica and a certain test is required to get in. And it's different for every country. It's different. And then, of course, for the U.S., the only standard that we have right now is everyone has to test 24 hours prior to re-entry into the States, vaccinated or not.
So is that, so if I was going to go to Cancun, take a trip, been down there for 7 days, when I came back, I would have to have a test
You
to
have
get
to
back in.
test before you leave Mexico.
Okay.
So most of the resorts are offering them complimentary.
Okay.
Especially your higher end resorts. Some
Sure.
of your lower end do not. But yeah, and if you
how do you
test
prove?
positive, so they give you a sheet of paper and it says your name, your passport information, and positive or negative.
I see.
And then you have to upload that to the airline.
I see.
Yes. So if you don't have the negative, then you don't get on the plane.
So an extra couple of steps that weren't
Yes.
there before, because I know when I was in Mexico, I think it was July of 2020, right after they'd opened the world back up, or I say the world, this hemisphere. None of that was required.
Right, and it was 72 hours prior to reentry, but just recently they've changed it to 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've relaxed a lot of things, mostly just economics and how much longer do you keep doing this?
Right.
And, you know, I think everybody's got the fatigue of.
Yes. It's just like, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy because you're in this other country and you're relying on them to essentially get you back in the United States. You know?
Yeah, which was never really the case before.
No, never.
I mean, that adds another layer of stress to travel, I would imagine.
It does. And especially like you making sure that your clients, like, you have to get tested. Make sure that you're setting this test up when you get there, because when people start drinking, they forget that they need a test.
So they have to schedule it pretty much when they get there.
Yeah, they go ahead and schedule it. And then if all else fails, there are tests at the airport. But it's just like, what do you do if you get to the airport and you're positive? Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Have you had anybody that's had to deal with that?
I've had clients that test positive.
No names, but how does that work?
It's kind of crazy.
I mean, makes your job a little more complicated, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, most resorts are offering a 14-day complimentary quarantine. So, that's an important part to look at when you're booking is what happens if I test positive? What are they going to do?
Yeah. So
realistically, the rule is you have to, until you have a negative test or a note from the doctor stating that you are negative, or a 10-day quarantine. Now we've moved it to 5, so all of that is still, kind of in the air, right now. But I've had clients that have tested positive in country, and they put them in a nice room with a nice view, and they feed them any kind of food they want all day. Some resorts will give you alcohol, but some will not.
Yeah.
I've
if
not
you're gonna quarantine, that's the way to go.
I've not had anyone that's like been so sick, that it required hospitalization or anything like that. So that's been good. But, and this is what's the crazy part is the resorts will offer to get you to the airport and to fly you to Tijuana, and then you walk across the border. So that's why I say it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like what
sort of a double standard kind of.
Yeah. So like you can't fly into the U.S., but you could walk across. So
I mean that just illustrates another bigger problem.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like it's another layer of this onion that just keeps peeling back, and you're like,
I tell you what, the last few years have just been so eye-opening to so many like ridiculously hypocritical things.
It is, and when you're in the travel world and you're looking at this, you're like, is this serious? Is
this our life?
Like this is really happening? You're really going to fly to Tijuana and walk across the border?
Wow. I mean, I guess if you're desperate to get home.
Yeah, some of them are desperate. I've only ever had one consider the option. And none of them have taken the option.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I would just stay in my room for 10 days.
Hey, especially if you have your like iPad or your Kindle,
yes,
you can just read.
work.
And
work from home. Like,
yeah. I know you can't leave your hotel room, but like if you got a really pretty view, like.
And they will test you every 48 to 72 hours. So, you know, if you test positive in 48 hours, they'll test you again. And if you're negative, you can get on the plane.
Yeah.
So.
I know a lot of people who are testing positive and they're really barely, I mean, they're almost asymptomatic or they barely have any symptoms. So I think we're at that point now in this. Enough people have been vaccinated, enough people have caught it that we're starting to build a bit of a tolerance maybe, and it's not killing people as badly as it was.
Exactly. And like I said, you know, they'll retest you. And if you get that negative test, then I've had clients that test positive in 72 hours are on the flight back home.
That's nice. So this only extends your day, you know, trip a little bit more.
Just a few more days.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I for you guys and for everybody else in that whole world, I hope that this wraps up a little bit and it's more like a regular flu season and we can just all go get shots.
Yes.
And you know, you might catch it, but if you do, you're not going to die from it.
Exactly. Like, yes, that's the worst part is like, you know, hoping that your clients get there and they do not get drastically sick. You know, just terribly sick.
Yeah. Ugh, yeah, I've known too many people who've died because of this. So I was definitely more paranoid about certain things. Been vaccinated, been boosted, don't really go anywhere. And at this point, I'm just kind of like, well, I guess if I get it, you know, I'm going to have to at some point.
Right. We had it, and it was not fun, but
it's like having if you're it's like having the really, really bad flu.
It was pretty rough. And
I don't want to be sick in general with the flu, with COVID, with anything.
I was 10 weeks pregnant when I got it, so it was like, oh
my gosh, girl. I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't very severe for you.
Yes, for sure.
That would suck. Okay, when we talked last time, you and I had both just traveled recently. My chair is like sliding around. And you know, I had gone to a resort that had like maybe 10%. Oh, wow. Wow. I'm really struggling with the words today. 10% capacity, if that. And you had traveled, by the time that we had that interview, it was more like 20 to 30 in a lot of places. Have you seen capacity get a lot more fill up? And have you seen a lot more traveling in general?
So we went to 50% for a while as far as resort capacity, and it's just slowly opened up. And, you know, different countries have different rules, obviously. But, for instance, Mexico recently went full. They were 100% open. Now, don't quote me on this, but
because it may change next week.
But I just read something the other day that they did go back to like yellow. And with that is a little bit lower of capacity, but I haven't seen a change as far as a book, like the bookings of rooms. I know Costa Rica just had a change where they were at 50%, but now they are requiring everyone to be vaccinated to get into the country. And when that took place, they were able to open to 100%.
Yeah.
So just different things are still opening up. But as far as travel slowing down, it has not. It has just boomed.
Yeah.
I think when I came
People
here,
are, I think cabin fevered.
They're ready. Like, so just to give you an example, in 2020, I did a little over 250,000 in sales for travel.
Okay.
In 2021,
that seems like a lot.
Yeah. In 2021, I did 2.2 million.
Oh my God. That's like what percentage increase is that?
It's huge.
It's like 200% or something. 250.
So it has grown.
Sorry to all the math people out there. I don't know.
And then
can't do that in
just
my head.
looking, you know, I've always heard in business you don't what's the word? You don't compare like year to year, you compare month to month, or you know what I mean? Like, so I need to compare January of 2021 to January of 2022.
Right.
And in January of 2021, I was just looking at my numbers the other day. I think I did 60,000 in sales that month, which is a lot, but not a ton. I'm already at 180,000 for the month. So just kind of give you an idea, like it's just crazy.
So travel isn't suffering.
No, travel is not suffering. It is back and it is busy.
When we were at that resort in Cabo back in June, July of 2020, it not being very full was actually super amazing because you get to have like the resort to yourself.
You don't have to fight for beach chairs.
You don't have to fight for beach chairs. There's room at any pool you go to. You know, there are some downsides in that certain things are closed, but like what what were the good and bad things about opening
Okay,
up?
so I've traveled in both. I've traveled when it was 20% capacity, and I've traveled with it 100% capacity. And I can say I hate fighting for pool chairs.
Yes.
Like, that's one of my biggest things is like, do not make me
Because you have to go down there at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
So I'm the early bird. So I get up at 7 to go work out. So I'm one of those people that puts their things on a beach chair, like this is mine. But I am going to come back to it. So I know, I'm not just wasting it. But that's one of the big things about travel being completely open. To me, and that's such a petty thing, but
I mean that's a big deal to me too.
Yeah,
though, I love to sit by the pool and read.
I want a pool chair. I want to read, and I want to get sun, but I want a little umbrella.
And, yeah. And if I want to get in the pool, I can.
Exactly.
And if I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the biggest. Yeah, and then you have, but luckily, when you are at full capacity, your resort is full of staff. It's fully staffed. Your restaurants are open. Your bars are open. It's just running like the well-oiled machine that it is.
Right.
Whenever
and I'm sure the workers are super happy if it's 100% capacity.
When it's at a lower, swim up pool bars were closed forever because of this. And they're finally are opening back up. And I know that has to be so much easier on the staff because during all of this, they're just walking around the pool constantly getting your drinks. Whereas when there is a pool bar, people in the pool and they're, getting their own. So
yeah, I think there was only one pool bar open when we went. And I think it made it pretty hard. Although there wasn't that many people. So it made it, it evened out in the wash. But I've always been curious. I like less crowded
So you
places.
like more of a boutique hotel, resort.
So like we were talking about that particular hotel we went to, I think it normally held like 3,600 people, and there were only like 300 at the time.
And
I don't think I would have felt claustrophobic if I had been there at 100% capacity because it was just. It already felt like a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Because we were all limited to certain.
So like
spots.
mega resorts are not your thing.
No, I don't think they would be because we, my husband and I did that for our honeymoon, and. We went at Christmas time because we got married at Christmas, and
every year the most expensive time of the year to travel.
It was like, well, this was also the 90s, so things were a little different.
Okay.
Yeah, I am that old. It was wall to wall people, but you didn't feel because of the way that particular resort was. It didn't feel as crowded, whereas this one's built into the side of a cliff.
Right. Yeah. There are only so many places you can go,
and it was beautiful. And if somebody
was it Pueblo Bonito? Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah. If somebody's like, here's a free trip, I'd totally do it. But if I were paying, I don't know. That would be, it would be.
You would probably like one of the more like Zoetry impressions, like resorts where it's very intimate, very small. Boutique, very small.
Limited capacity.
Yes. Yeah. We would never need to send you to the Grand Moon.
Yeah. And I do still want to talk to you about some of that stuff. But we'll talk about that off podcast. We spoke last time about, being in an industry like this and working for the company you work for, Vagablonde Travel, if anybody's wondering, to find your niche, to find your special area of specialization, if you will, to, you said that you did more like couples.
Yep.
And, were really, really well versed in sort of like the Caribbean area in South America, that kind of thing. So did you find that, kind of having that focus is really amplified your
It has. I feel like you should know everything but really have a niche. I just think that that's super important in business. And when you first get started, it's like, oh, I want to take everything because I need the experience. Right. And now I can be very picky as far as like, there are certain things I just will not book, I just won't do it. But I do focus on the romance, luxury, travel. I do a lot of honeymoons. That's probably my biggest.
I think you said that was your favorite.
Yeah, and it is my favorite. But I have stepped off into destination weddings. And that I love that as well. So
you're about to do your own.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it might as well. I decided, I guess about 8 months ago, that I was ready for destination wedding, and well,
let me ask you,
it really took off.
What kind of made you hesitant to jump into that? What was?
Brides are very, very.
Yeah, that was a dumb question, Sarah.
So, honeymoon brides are, they're ready to relax. They're ready to get away from the stress,
They're not bridezilla anymore.
Destination wedding brides are navigating the wedding. So now my part is not the wedding. I get them in touch with the resort. I help them pick the resort,
right.
But the
and
wedding.
then they work with a coordinator on staff.
Yes, on staff. And then I just handle all of their guests so that they do not have to worry about their guest. And so it's just on a larger scale. You know, with a honeymoon, I'm booking 2 people to a resort. With a wedding, I'm booking 80 people to this resort. So it's a lot in it.
Okay, so you're
lots of
scaled
changes.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
That would definitely be more trepidatious to
go
into that.
And it's just funny because you never know like what guests you're gonna. The guests are just. It's funny.
Yeah, you could have it's a mixed bag, I'm sure.
Like I had one guest just she was not happy that the resort wouldn't let 4 adults stay in a room. And she's like, I want that to happen. And I'm like, can't make it happen.
I mean, most of those really high-end resorts won't let you.
It's 3 max capacity, usually 3 adults, and she was just not happy with the way the resort was set up. And I was like, the bride chose this resort.
You're not getting married, though.
I didn't build this resort. I'm sorry.
But it's all your fault, Aubree.
It is. So we have to navigate a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like when I was a wedding photographer, guests were actually some of the worst part about it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
The brides are usually very easy. Like the brides are so easy. A destination wedding bride to me is very easygoing because I tell them up front, look,
everything could go wrong.
And like you're not going to get to do any personalization until 3 months before your wedding. So like whereas in the States you start planning a year out with these vendors. For destination wedding, I mean they're masters at what they do, and so 3 months. I actually have a wedding in March. And the resort just reached out to her to start personalizing her wedding. Yeah. So it's like,
well, they've got it down to a science.
Oh my gosh,
probably.
they could do it in a week and a half. Yeah. Like it's so easy, and there's so many vendors, and like it's a whole different world. So I do mention that up front with my brides. Just this is not like an American wedding.
You're gonna wait a year before if you're booking this a year in advance. You're gonna wait 9 months before you do anything.
Then you're gonna be it's going to be perfect. Like it's going to be well taken care of. But if you are type A, it is a little hard to let control of that.
Yeah. But because when planning vacations myself, I like to have my hands on everything. But then I think that stresses me out. Yeah, being in charge of all the things.
Yeah. That's why you do a destination wedding, so that you don't have to do that.
I mean, honestly, if I were to do it over again, that would totally be.
Oh, it's so easy. Like watching these brides, just like a month before they head out. All the details start to, come in, they come in and then you just see this beautiful event, and you're like, they didn't have to do any, they didn't have to stress. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
Just walk in, somebody else is taking care of everything.
All you do is bring your gown. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That would be great. I mean, I think everybody should get married that way.
And then they clean up, they clean up. It's unlimited alcohol. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, right? Yeah. In another life, if I ever get married again, we'll do that. So you still enjoy the couples aspect, the romance, luxury travel?
I do family. I do some family trips, but for the most part, it's anniversary, honeymoons, and weddings. Yeah,
it's pretty much stayed the same for you. I mean, I follow you on social media, so I've seen
it has, and that's what I advertise for. I advertise to that crowd.
Yeah, I would think that it would be more fun. Well, not more fun maybe, but like less stressful to deal with a couple going on their honeymoon than say a family taking their kids to Disney.
Yes. I do not touch Disney.
Disney is psychotic. I would not want to do that in a million years.
I thought that I might want to dabble in Disney. And then I went to Disney myself and I thought, no.
Nope.
You know
Girl,
what?
we're of the same mind. All the people who want to do that is fantastic. That's great for you.
Yeah.
Not for me.
It's not for me.
That does not sound like a vacation. That sounds like a lot of work.
It's work. I always tell people when you choose to travel within the United States, you are working.
Yeah.
Like when you travel internationally, you are enjoying your time.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up because I have noticed anytime I have and I love traveling within the U.S. because there's a lot of places I still haven't been.
Me too. I love it.
However,
it's work.
When you go, it is work. And you're not really taken care of the same way. Like if you go stay at a hotel or something, if you go to a resort in Mexico or in the Caribbean somewhere, you feel catered to.
You are special. Yes. Like,
and I know that's part of the whole shtick.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but
like, you go to New York and you spend a week, it's like, you're just another number there.
Yeah.
But, at the resorts, they know your name. Yeah. Like, they call me.
Since I'm tattooed, I was very distinctive. Yes. And so all the little Cabana boys.
Aaron's hair gets us,
And they would come running, oh, Miss Sarah.
Yes.
Like, hi.
It's just so fun. And being pregnant in another country, I've got to experience that as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I came back and I was telling Aaron, just in the U.S., like pregnancy is almost looked at as like a a nuisance kind of to some people. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, really? Like, you wanted to have a baby? Like, in a foreign country, you are like a goddess when you are pregnant.
It's a double-edged sword here. Yeah. It's like you're expected to do it.
Right.
But if you do it, it's like,
and so,
really?
I was pregnant in Mexico, and just like, they have no problem. Like, I would walk to the pool and they're like, do you need a pool chair? I'm like, yeah. And they'll take it from people that just aren't sitting there anymore. Like, they're like, you get the chair because you're pregnant.
Right. You're very special because you're pregnant. Yeah. I'm sure that's amazing because that's they do that even when you're not pregnant to some extent.
Exactly.
Especially if they like you and you're nice to them.
Yeah. They will go above and beyond.
Yeah. And so that's a big difference in traveling in the U.S. is that you've got to work it yourself.
Yes.
Whereas when you go someplace else, it feels like they're taking care of you.
Yes.
And sometimes when you go on vacation, that's what you want.
We did skiing last year with our kids, and oh my goodness.
Here in the U.S.?
Yes, in the U.S. And then we took them to an all-inclusive in Mexico, and it was like, what were we thinking? Like, why did we ever do that? Why did we ever go skiing?
Right? Yeah, I mean, skiing's fun and all.
It is fun. But
your kids are how old?
10 and 12.
So, okay, that's a little bit better age.
I could not imagine taking like a 4-year-old skiing. Like, it wouldn't, no.
I think of all the broken
limbs. I already
limbs.
have this one, her first trip planned. We're going to go to Cabo this summer with her. So,
how old will she be?
She will be 5 months.
Oh.
Yeah. We've got to, we've got to get her in it quick.
Let's tell us about how that's going to work. If you're a mom with a new baby traveling, and I say new, anything under a year old.
Yes.
How does that work?
So your airline tickets under 2 are free. So they ride with you, in your lap. They're a lap guest. And then for most resorts, same. So 2 and under. Now, the moment that she's born, as soon as we get her information, her social security and things like that, we will go apply for her passport because she has to have one. It'll be valid for 5 years. And so, I mean, I'm ready to travel with her immediately. Just jumping. I know a lot of people are like, oh, no, what about the plane? What if she cries? What if she cries? It doesn't. I mean, she's a baby.
That's life.
Like, it's life. Yeah. What if she cries in a restaurant?
I have been on plenty of planes with crying children.
Exactly. Like, we all pay the same price for the flight. So, no, but I have a trip. My first. I don't know if you want to talk about this now or later.
Sure, go ahead.
My first postpartum trip will be in May, and she's due in February. So it will not be long after she's born. And I've thought about taking her on that one, but Aaron is just not sure that early.
Yeah.
And so
she'll be what, 8 weeks?
9, right at 9 weeks.
Yeah, that's
it's a little early. It's a little new. But I know people do travel with 6-week-olds, things like that. So it's not out of the ordinary. And it's still on the table.
That kid's going to have some hardy immune system, I'll tell you what.
But she is for sure going to Cabo in July, so.
Very fun. I'm jealous. I want to go back to Cabo. I loved it. What, as a woman who works and you're about to have a new baby and you're going to take that postpartum period, but it sounds like you're going to go right back into work afterwards. How are you going to take as many trips as you used to, or is that going to limit you? So
that's what we've discussed. And I think the last time that we came in, our family dynamic has sort of
You were
changed.
taking like 2 a month.
Yes. And that, I did. I think I traveled 10 times internationally in 2021. So I did a lot of travel, and that's a lot. There were some months, and I didn't travel in November or December. So I did. I don't know. It all washes together. There were 2 months where I didn't travel. Yeah, and so anyway, I feel like our family dynamic has changed since the last time I came in. I actually. And this is not known. This is actually the first time that we've told anyone this. Yeah, but Aaron was working oil rigs. That's where he worked. And last year in February of 2021, business exploded. And I told him, I was like, I can't handle this. I can't continue to work as much as I'm working and take care of the kids while you're gone for 2 weeks.
Right, because he would be gone.
Yeah. So we brought him home last February. So he actually works for me now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that was another question I actually had in terms of how big the business has expanded.
Yes. So he is home.
Is he booking trips as well?
He is. He books them as he's an assistant for me. So he helps. He does a lot of my honeymoons.
Okay.
So I've actually grown to 4 full-time. Well, I say full-time. Assistants and myself, so we've grown quite a bit to keep up with the demand.
For you as one of like the main travel agents for Vagablonde Travel.
Yeah, so I bring in the trips, and then they help me with. I have one assistant that does my weddings with me, one assistant that kind of is an executive assistant, and she's in my email answering questions that maybe I don't get to automatically. Erin books trips, and then my other assistant helps with just different things that I need her to do. So
wow.
Yeah.
It was just you before
it was just me.
last time, and now you have 4 assistants.
Yes, and Erin is home full time.
Wow.
So that's going to help a lot when it comes to me still being able to travel. You know, I know there's a lot of pressure on moms to, you know, you have to take off and you can't be away from the baby and all of these things, but in real life, that's not the case. You have to.
Yeah.
So I do know that I'll take a little bit more time off, but I still plan to travel just as much as I did.
Yeah.
And she'll be with us. She'll, you know, be.
I think that's good because
yeah.
I think women who tend to change their lifestyle so drastically end up maybe later down the road, maybe not immediately, having some regrets of I gave up my entire life instead of fitting the child into the life you already have.
You know, I love my career. I'm not going to put it on hold. I feel like children are, you know, they're going to eventually leave you, right? So you can't just focus your entire life around them. They have to fit into your life.
Right, exactly.
And so that's what I've done with my other 2, and it's worked out perfectly. So that's what we'll do with this one as well. She'll either go with us or...
Every time we went somewhere or did something, we would take ours with us. Or if it was a trip that was not really kid appropriate, they would stay with their grandparents. But like for the most part, they went and did all the things we did.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what it... And with this being Aaron's first, he's a little bit more, you know...
hands-on.
My third, his first. So yeah, it's going to be a little different because he's not going to want to leave her as much as I would be like, it's fine.
Because by your third kid, you're just like, whatever, don't play in the street.
It's cool.
That's what we used to joke whenever Ava was born, just like, she'll be fine.
She's going to raise herself.
You know, you go from your first and being so particular, and then your third.
And this is his first, so it's just crazy because my third, his first, and it's just two totally different worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be good because she'll get the best of.
For sure.
2 parenting styles.
Exactly. Very hands-on and then very like, oh, you're an independent girl.
Yep. There you go. Well, talking about the expansion, the last time you were here, the agency had 4 agents. Is there still just 4 or have y'all?
I actually think, okay, let me think. It has grown. I want to say there's 8 now, potentially 9. Katie, Michelle. I know that we've added at least 3 more since then. Yeah. In the agency, yes,
of all the years and times,
yes, to grow it has been crazy because when you're talking to other agents, we really adapted to what was happening in the world.
That was key.
It was key. You had to, and you watched a lot of agents that didn't, and their businesses crumbled. You know, so we grew in the pandemic. So it says a lot about the owner of the agency, you know.
Yeah.
She really put an emphasis. You know, she helped us to put things into place where we would grow during that time.
Do you think that there was any key factors besides just being able to navigate new, change and be adaptable? Was there anything that you saw that you guys were doing slightly different?
A few things. One thing is we do charge an agency fee.
Yep.
And I know a lot of agencies do not do that.
I mean, that blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't do that.
Yeah.
And that was a critical thing that we did implement that saved us.
Because even if a trip gets canceled or rebooked or whatever, you've still got
You've made
your
your money. Yeah. So for instance, if someone pays me $199 for their agency fee, and then I spend a week working on their trip and then I get them booked and then, I'm banking on, them traveling.
And you make a commission off of that.
And I make a commission off of their travel. Then they have to cancel for some unknown reason. I've made no money if I didn't charge an agency fee. So that kind of helped us. And especially during the time when no one was traveling, they were still paying those agency fees for a future later travel. So that was helping us, month to month. And another thing that we did during the midst of it is we traveled. We traveled during the pandemic. And so that we led by example of you can do this and you can do this safely. And that kind of gave people a confidence, whereas some agents didn't travel at all.
Yeah.
And because of that, they lost clients,
Yeah, I think that while it was I can understand the anxiety people would feel in traveling. When I did it, I felt safer in Mexico. We talked about this last time. They had so many more precautions in place and different things than even here.
Especially if you live in Texas.
Especially if you live in Texas. We didn't care about the pandemic here in Texas. And you go other places where they're giving it a little bit more consideration and trying to keep everybody safe for the community well-being.
Yeah.
Because
that's their livelihood. They need you there.
Yeah. And so I felt great about it. And I was like, well, I could take another trip like this. Exactly. This is no problem.
Yeah. And I think
traveling within the U.S. would have been a different story.
Yes. Leading leading by example was a huge part of it. You know, like I said, I traveled multiple times during the midst of 2020 when the country started. You know, Mexico opened in June of 2020, and I was there in July.
Yeah.
So it just leading by example and showing you can do this safely.
Yeah, and then charging that fee.
Yes,
because I've seen so many travel agencies and people in this industry, their business is closed.
They did because and I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to use you because you charge an agency fee, but you're getting a lot of experience with that. I don't
understand why you won't want to pay for someone's time.
I don't either.
That's
I don't
important.
get that. I don't understand
your expertise.
It. Right, exactly.
If
I'm a specialist in what I do.
I don't know things about certain places, and you do. And so then if I'm going to book a trip and I don't want to have to deal with any hassle or headache, isn't it worth a percentage of money and for someone else to handle the hassle for you?
And our agency fee starts at $99. So it's not like it's,
thousands.
$1,000 to work with us. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I feel like anybody can, if you're going to take that kind of a trip, anybody can afford $100.
Exactly. Yeah. And just knowing that like all that you do is fill out a form and I speak to you, and from there I handle everything.
Yeah.
So you just get to sit back.
That sounds like the best way to do it.
Exactly.
Pay for people's time, especially when they're experts.
Yes.
That was the biggest fight that I had sometimes when I was a photographer, because it was like, well, why is it so much? Because all you're doing is taking pictures. Do you realize how much back end work I have to do?
Yes, the back end work.
40 hours worth of work that you don't ever see.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
And so it's
all the little things, like we even email the resort before you go, and I say, I have, this client that's coming, it's her honeymoon. I'd really appreciate if you give her this personal assist, like butler. I want her on this floor. I want da-da-da-da. Like, I take care of all of that. And so when that client gets there, they're like, oh, how was your wedding? They know about your life. They know them. You're not just a number on Expedia.
Yeah.
And it's
doesn't that make you have a better experience overall?
If I think so.
You have a personalized sort of situation
and the thing
happening?
is that they can message me. I had one client message me, and she was like, we got here and this was wrong and this was wrong, and I was like, I'll take care of it. Expedia is not going to take care of that. No.
Or any budget booking agency that you use. Mm-hmm. Hey, it may be great for your pocketbook, but in the long run, you could get lucky. I've had friends who've done that and they got really lucky. But then I've heard horror stories where everything went wrong and they were having to deal with it themselves, and you're in a foreign country.
That's why I book 4-star and up. And if you bring me something that you found on Cheap Caribbean and it's a 2.5 star, I just tell you can book that on your own, because I know what is going to happen once you get there.
You're better off taking a cruise if you want a cheap vacation than doing that.
But it just I know what's going to happen when you get there. You're not going to be happy. The food is going to be terrible. And I cannot have that on my reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. The fact that you guys keep going and traveling and visiting, and a lot of, on your social media, I see you visit the same resorts over and over again.
Yeah.
And I always wondered why was that? But it's probably to maintain relationships.
Maintain relationships, for sure. Yes.
But also, hotels and resorts offer new things that you got to go test out before you send somebody.
Like this one of my favorite resorts. For the first time, I've been to this resort probably 5 times, but I finally got to do their mixology class. And so just getting to sit with the head mixologist at this resort and show us how he makes sure that every margarita tastes exactly the same, because everything is done this way. Whereas at a different resort, the margaritas don't taste the same.
Right.
Why? Because every bartender isn't held to a standard. But when you go to a 5-star resort and you have a head mixologist and he makes sure that every bartender is doing the same thing, it makes a difference.
Yeah, because then when you go to order something, you know what you're getting is going to be the same.
You're like, I want this, and I know exactly how it's going to taste. I could go back next year and it's going to taste exactly the same.
Right? That'd be great. That'd be awesome. When you're booking these different types of trips, most of this is very luxurious and very, 5-star, high end. People think, okay, I'm going to pay a super premium price. Mm-hmm. Is there some truth in that, or is it more shocking to people than they realize that, hey, you can get all this, and this for $10,000 or less?
I think that it is setting expectations to what they want. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So, one of my favorite resorts, it usually prices out for around $5,000,
for a couple?
For a couple, for several days, for usually about 6 days there.
Wow,
so it's not bad at all, especially whenever you're looking at a really, really nice luxury resort. But it is setting those expectations, because I do have people that come to me and they'll say, okay, I want an overwater bungalow and my budget is $2,000. It is just not going to happen.
Those are like $1,000 a night.
They're $1,000 a night. So, or higher.
2 days. For you can stay for a day and a half.
You can stay for a day and a half. And we do a lot of split stays. So working with them and saying, okay, I need a realistic budget. Here is what makes a realistic budget. And then really working with them. If overwater bungalow is, they have to have it, let's stay 2 nights at the overwater bungalow. And then let's put you somewhere else for 3 nights. Working with them and making those budgets work. But I do upfront tell people any kind of Europe, if I do Europe, it's curated luxury and it starts at $10,000.
Oh yeah.
Overwater bungalows in Tahiti, you need a $10,000 budget.
Yeah.
Now can you get it for less? Potentially, yes. If you can find a really great sale on a really great day and maybe. I have done Bora Bora I have not done Bora Bora, but I did do, I can't remember which one it was, for right at $8,000 for a guest, and it was an overwater bungalow. So, but it is just setting those expectations of, this is what you're looking for and this is what I can provide, because I am a luxury agent. So,
but you having all that knowledge, you can sit down with somebody during a consultation and they can say, well, I would really like to do this, but my budget's only this. And you can go, well, I can do
I have
what
a
you just
great
described.
Resort for you.
You can do 2 nights here at this really great place. And
Uh-huh.
then there's another one, but it's significantly cheaper, but it's still high end.
Yeah.
And we can do this
let's
over here.
Let's start you off at the lower end one, and then let's move you on your last few nights to your higher, overwater bungalow, so that you leave on that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
That sounds great.
Because you can work with budgets. And a lot of people don't realize you can do split stays in other countries. Like, they're like, oh, I have to go to this one resort. I'm like, you can actually stay at 3 or 4 if you want.
You can go to a different one every
you
night.
can go to a different one, whatever you want to do. That's what
That would be stressful as a vacationer to be moving around.
I'm starting I'm planning my first postpartum trip without kids. And I don't know when that will take place, but because I don't know when Aaron will leave the baby again. But I know for sure I'm going to stay at 2 different resorts, potentially 3, just because I need to see them. They're new.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to go.
Yeah. I mean,
have to go see these
if you're going to
resorts.
go, you might as well go stay at all of them. And as a travel agent, you're getting to do it more frequently.
Yes,
so you can kind of take that,
Yeah, I would say 2 resorts on a split stay is a max, 4 at one, 3 at the other, or 4 and 4, just depending on your time.
Yeah. What's your best budget trip? When I say budget, I know you don't do cheap, but I'm saying like somebody who's like, hey, I only have like $3,500.
So if you're from this area, I would say Cancun for sure, just because your flights are going to be so much cheaper. If you're from the Florida area, then you may look at the Dominican or Jamaica, something like that. The flights play such a huge factor in it, because if flights are $1,000, that's a big chunk of your budget. So if you're from this area, the Texas area, Cancun is so quick. A lot of times you can round trip for $250 per person. So that leaves you a lot for your budget. And then I have several resorts that I use a lot. The Valentine Imperial is one that a lot of guests, I know it's a good resort, but it's prices really nicely. El Dorado Royale, there are several options. And then whenever they're like, okay, my budget's $5,000 to $7,000. Okay, then we can start looking at Unico. We can start looking at LeBlanc. Okay, my budget's $10,000. Okay, we can start looking at bungalows. So
what's your favorite super luxurious? Budget is not an option. Like, it doesn't even matter. What kind of trip is that? Have you gotten to book one?
I have got to book. I've booked a couple. I just booked a 14-day trip, a European trip that would be fantastic. It's all over Italy, just an entire, and it was. I want to say it was right at 17,000. Yeah. So I just did that one. That one is a dream. I've done Bora Bora for a client for 10 days. That was around right at a $18,000-$20,000 trip. There's one in Costa Rica that I did do one for Costa Rica, and you stay in this tented camp, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's to die for. I know. And it was close to a $15,000 to $20,000 trip. So. Yeah.
Wow. But, if it's a once in a lifetime thing for you.
And it's really funny because your clients that you would think your clients that have a lot of money, where the budget doesn't exist, that they would just be so particular, but they're the easiest to work with. They're like, oh, that looks great. And I'm like, I bet it does, because it is an amazing trip. Yeah. But it's, they're not sticklers. They're not like, they just want that experience. So you pack as much experience as you can into this for them. And they love it, you know. And so when my clients come and they're like, oh, I really don't have a budget, I'm like, oh, this will be a fun one.
Yeah, no kidding. And then you can do whatever.
Yes.
Speaking of experiences, what are your favorite types of experiences or excursions that you like to book for your clients when they go to these?
So if you're going to Mexico, then you have to do a cenote, which are the underground rivers. Those are just
really,
oh my gosh,
never done that.
So you have to do it.
Okay,
it's fresh water. You know, it's in caves. It's like an underwater.
Is this in Cancun?
It's in Cancun.
Okay.
Yeah, and all along the Riviera Maya. In Hawaii, you oh my gosh, there's just so much in Hawaii. Like you could do. I don't even know. Like, it's just so much.
She likes them all, guys.
I like them all.
She likes them all.
But my biggest is when you're in Mexico, you have to do a cenote. When you're in Costa Rica, going out to the waterfalls, you know, just exploring the waterfalls there, you have to do that. Each different place, if you're in Jamaica, you know, Dunn's River Falls is just, you know, so much for each different country.
What do you find is not nearly as impressive or a waste of your money?
Okay, let's see.
Without trashing anything.
Yeah.
But within reason.
I'm not a golfer. So
yeah.
when my clients want to go golfing in another country, I'm like, ugh. But, you know, they really enjoy it. Sure. So, you know, that to me is not something I would particularly do. One thing I do, I didn't mention this, but a food tour. Oh my gosh, those are fantastic to do in foreign countries.
Oh yeah.
Puerto Vallarta has a taco tour, and it takes you all over the city, and you try like 12 different tacos. And
okay,
it's just,
let's go.
Yes.
Tacos. You said tacos.
It is so good. It's so fun. The horseback riding thing on the beach, it's just like, okay.
I don't like being on something that has a mind of its own.
You know, I did another one that I just didn't love, and so many people do, is the dolphin swim. Mm-hmm. I was terrified.
I don't mind being in a boat and maybe like petting them.
Right.
But I don't know if I want to be in the water with them.
It was the most, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe everyone should do it once, but then that is it. Like,
Yeah.
I will never swim with the dolphins again.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They are huge. And they're just swimming all over you.
And you think that they're super docile, and they mostly are. But
They
I've
are,
heard
but
of people like
they could not be,
getting
you know,
roughed up by them, you know, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh.
So it was a one and done kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should take a trip together. I feel like we
Yeah.
were like the exact same
Yes,
person.
yeah. Like any kind of tequila tour. Oh my God, so fun.
We can do that. Totally. You travel a lot.
Yes.
What are traveling essentials, like luggage wise, or what do you pack? How do you pack?
Oh my gosh, this
because
is
I feel
so
like this
funny.
is a huge thing that people like.
Yeah.
They pack way too much stuff.
They do. You do. So I have actually become
those
a
people.
master at this, and I can now go on a multi-day trip with just a carry-on. So I
Do you
used
have
to
like
have
a special packing like technique that you
so
do?
you know the little travel packing bags? Those are lifesavers.
Okay.
Because you can stick, you know, as much stuff, like you get all your shirts in one, all your swimsuits in one, and it kind of contains them. That is
And then when they start to
must.
search your bag, your stuff's just not flying.
Yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. Well, and in this world that we live in, just doing a carry-on is so nice because we almost missed our flight one time because the line to check a bag was an hour and a half long. And so luckily I don't even know why we were going to check the bags because we had travel like carry-on size bags.
Right.
And we were like, forget this. Like, we just went right on to the plane, you know? So that, as far as time saving, is a lifesaver.
Also, too, a lot of airlines now will charge you.
Yes, they charge you.
To store a bag.
Yes, and if you're basic economy, I know on United, even you can't even get a carry-on for free. So, but sunscreen is always a must, and mosquito spray, believe it or not.
They got different mosquitoes.
It's
down
like
there.
$25 a bottle at the gift shop.
I know.
So,
And you can get like a little $4 travel size one.
yeah. And then just packing like. I don't pack my entire makeup bag because even though you think, oh yeah, I'm really going to do my makeup up, you're not, because you're going to spend all day out in the sun. You're going to drink.
You're going to be wearing sunscreen.
Like, yeah.
Maybe
you're
some
gonna,
tinted moisturizer.
And by the time that you get back to your room to get ready for dinner, you're not feeling like getting like all super,
face of makeup.
So just like a BB cream, you know, that you can just make it some lashes.
Do you do anything special for your hair? Because I know when the last time I was at the beach, it was straw by the time I came home.
So I, not really. I wear mine up all the time.
Yeah.
So like, I have like a hair wash schedule. I'm sure most women do. You know, you have to
same.
line it up for when you have important things. And so like I wash it the day I'm headed out. And then so like when I get there, my hair looks nice. And then from then on, it goes up. But I always, and this is something that I recommend sometimes to my clients, schedule a blowout while I'm there.
Really?
Yeah, for like the third day.
Okay.
So after I get out of the pool, like I go get my hair like at the salon. They wash it. They, straighten it. They do all the things. And then at least one night for dinner, my hair looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always heard that like if you're gonna go and be in a pool or be in the ocean or whatever, to put like leave-in conditioner.
Yes.
in.
Oh, and that is a big thing. Most resorts don't actually provide you with conditioner.
Right.
So that is one to pack for
Yes.
sure. Conditioner, leave-in conditioner. Aaron is the one to ask about hair products for trips.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the one
I should talk to him and his luxurious curly hair.
He has all his wave spray and
yeah.
his curl creams and
I should talk to him. When it comes to like money or payment, what do you recommend to your clients to take? Because I know used to way back in the day, it was traveler's checks. Well, now we've all got debit cards and credit cards
Right.
with travel points and things like that. What's the best?
So
do you
always-
need cash?
Yes, I like to take cash for tips. And usually for the Caribbean, for the most part, I never exchange my currency. I just keep it as US dollars. And so I use my cash strictly for tips. So depending on the length of my trip, I'll sometimes bring $150 to $200 in 5s, 10s, 1s, for tipping. A major credit card for your other things. You don't want to bring a debit card. You can bring it, but
I didn't bring mine. I took a credit card.
That's your cash. Like
That's connected
if
to your
someone
bank
gets
account.
your cash, it's a little bit harder to get back than just your credit. You know. So I always recommend a credit card. And another thing is when you're checking into a resort, if you use a debit card, they put a huge hold on your account, whereas a credit card does not do that.
Right.
So, and then always notifying the company that you are going out of country, because I didn't, as much as I've traveled, I still forget to do this.
I learned that lesson the hard way, and I've never done it since.
And then you get stuck trying to check into your room, and your card is denying, and no one's at the bank to answer, and you're like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah. No, I did it when I wasn't even in another country. I was just in another state using it, and they were like, "Weird
denied."
activity.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?" And then I was like, "Oh crap! I need to let them know."
Yes.
And so now, if you take a credit card, and you don't use your debit card because that was the issue.
Yeah.
And then, you let them know ahead, because there's like, with mine, for my Chase card, I can just go online and tell them when I'm traveling.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's not a
It's just so
problem.
much easier with a credit card. So a credit card, and then, $150 to $200 cash.
So when you're tipping, like we just tipped at the very end of our stay instead of like individually every time. What do you recommend? Because maybe we did the wrong thing there.
I always recommend daily individually, just because you may not have the same, a lot of times they're on a rotation.
Yeah.
So you may have a really great pool, server that day, and then he's in a restaurant the next day. So I always do a few, just dollars at breakfast, $1 or $2 at my breakfast, because generally it's a buffet. So just, someone getting your juice and things like that. And then our bar guy usually gets the most of our money, because we keep him very busy. And the more that you tip, the better they treat you. I mean, that's just the way it is. Some resorts don't allow Sandals does not allow you to tip. But most of the other resorts do. Yes. If you go to a Sandals resort, they don't allow tipping. But
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I guess it's kind of integrated. I don't know why they do that.
Maybe they just feel like it's
a part of the price that you pay, I guess,
Yeah.
already. Maybe they pay their employees a little higher of a rate than
Right.
what, some of the other ones do. But we give our tip up front for our pool guy. So, like, the moment we sit down in our lounger, we're like, here's $20, and then when we leave, we tip him usually a little bit more, too, just because, especially if they're really good.
Yeah. We
and
had a lot of
then-
the same people
Yeah.
when we were there. Like, it was literally
because
the same
it was
people.
so small. Yeah, because of the.
So I think that's why we chose
Yeah.
to wait till the end
Yeah.
of the trip. But there were a few times when they brought our luggage to us.
Yes.
Big tip
Yeah.
then. When they packed everything up to take it to the shuttles, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then a little bit here and there, but for the most part, we just were like, here's $200
Yeah.
for the week.
Yeah, here's for the whole week, which I'm sure they loved. Yeah.
Right. But then as the stay was going on, I was like, do they think we're rude Americans for not tipping? Or is it pretty common for people to wait till
Some
the end
do
of the week?
wait. Some do wait to the end. I just always say you never know if you're going to see
Yeah.
that person again.
I think if
before
it
you
had
leave.
been a different situation where we were
Right,
traveling
for
at
sure.
high season
Yeah.
where everybody's there
and
that
you're
would-
seeing a new person every single day.
Yeah, we had the same like 4 people.
Yeah. They were probably so short staffed too. Like it was just, yeah.
Good deal. Well, is there any closing thoughts as we're wrapping this up that you have that we haven't shared yet, or question I haven't asked you that's what you want to impart to people who want to do a trip, but they,
I would
they're just
say,
kind of nervous to do something.
Right. I would say, definitely start reaching out, in advance. The further out that you plan your trip, the less it seems like it's coming out of your pocket. You know what I mean?
You have a long time to pay off.
A lot of these resorts require a $300 deposit, and then you can pay on them for a year, you know? I don't ever recommend booking over a year out because a lot of times their sales and their promotions are not yet dropped, so you're paying more actually. But just getting started and just finding someone knowledgeable, whether it's me or anyone else, to help you, especially right now, and guide you as far as, okay, so you're not vaccinated. Well, these are the options that you have. You are vaccinated. Okay, then you have these options. And it's ever changing. So in this world, it's so important to find someone that knows what they're doing to help you guide and just, working alongside you, making sure that everything is going to go exactly. It's your money. It's your trip, you know?
And it's this lifetime experience
thing.
You want to do. You might as well enjoy every aspect of
absolutely, yeah.
Definitely. Well, Aubree, thanks so much for coming back on and kind of giving us an update on what life is like traveling now after 2 years, going into the third of a global pandemic.
Can we just end, please?
Yes, please. Let's turn the switch off. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, where they can book with you, all the great, wonderful things.
So you can go to vagablondetravel.com and you can find my form. You'll want to go to my name and then click the button under my name so that I get your trip. I'm also on social media. I'm on Facebook, Aubree Paige. I'm on Instagram at All Things A.
You're on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, Vagablonde Aubree. They all have different handles. Like, what was I doing? Clearly, I didn't know, what would come of this.
Right. Not thinking ahead in that scale.
The best way to get a hold of me is through email, Aubree@vagablondetravel.com.
Good deal. And we'll put all of that information in our podcast episode so people can just go very easily click on all the things. But well, I'm so glad
Thank you for having
to have
me
you
again.
here. But the next time I see you, you'll have a baby in your
I'll have
arms.
a little newborn,
And maybe married,
maybe so. Who knows?
Eventually.
We'll have the wedding at some point.
Yeah. Let me know. I might come.
Exactly.
Anyway, thanks so much, Aubree. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode, and you should check us out next time, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Do you have a story to tell? We want to hear it. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast and share your story, contact us on our website at PaynePoints.com or any of the social media linked on our website. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We'd appreciate a review, a like, or a comment to let us know what you think. You can find all of our podcasts linked on our website under the podcast tab. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we want to wish everybody a wonderful day.